I'm starting to feel something. And it's not just because I went on a 2.5-hour lunch date with Tyler Milliken at the Nines.
It was special.
It was special. It was a good time. We sat across from each other. We looked each other longingly in the eyes. It was great.
I fed you a tender. You fed me a tender.
The tenders are good. What more can you say? That gold fever?
Best you're ever going to find.
No, I'm starting to feel something, Milliken. You know why?
How come?
Red Sox, Yankees. Does that make you feel just a little bit?
It has to. When you look at the Yankees right now, 5-13 in their last 18 games, the Red Sox have cut a 12.5, game deficit for them, now down to 5.5. And you have the Red Sox seemingly getting healthier, getting right as the Yankees kind of return to what they actually are. I don't want to go too far because I think I'm going to undress them a little bit this segment, but I think the Red Sox and Yankees are a lot closer than people want to say.
I'm starting to feel it. Red Sox, Yankees tonight. Really good pitching matchup. Tanner Houck, Nestor Cortez. If you're not watching tonight, you're not into it tonight, you're just not looking for a good baseball game. That's just it. But if you're listening to this program, you're a baseball person, I have to imagine. It is the baseball hour. No Maz. Maz on a Friday.
I haven't seen him in so long. I'm quite sad.
And you never will, Milliken. You'll never see him again. You'll see him the Friday after probably Labor Day. So Milliken's alongside. Jay Stu's here. We've got room for you at 617-779-0985. Red Sox, Yankees. This means something. This is the most meaningful Red Sox-Yankees series, most meaningful Red Sox-Yankees game tonight since the Wildcard game in 2021. That is not an understatement. This is good stuff. We're here in July. We've got meaningful baseball. The Red Sox are, on the verge of a trading deadline where they should do something. I don't know if they will. But hey, if you're not into it tonight, you're not into it at all. I want to start with Jimmy Stewart tonight. We generally do opening takes on a Friday, but I think this is the take for tonight. Red Sox, Yankees. Stu, you came in, you're fired up about this today. Why is that?
Because the Red Sox and the Yankees, there's something on the line for me as a fan right now. I'm into it. I can't wait to watch this weekend of baseball because the Red Sox are pushing for a playoff spot. And if they sweep the Yankees, it doesn't mean anything to the front office, to Sam Kennedy, to Craig Breslow, to anybody who's going to make a decision to add to this baseball team. So they could sweep the Yankees, and it means nothing because their playoff chances percentage probably goes from 40% to 45%, and I don't think it's enough for them to be a straight buyer at the July trade deadline.
You hear that type of negativity, Milliken? I don't know if I'm going to tolerate that type of negativity. I'm always so positive. No, Jimmy, I don't need that type of negativity tonight.
Tell me I'm wrong. Where's the lies detected?
I can't tell you you're wrong. You have every right to feel that way as a Red Sox fan. For whatever reason, I'm hopeful that Breslow will be different. And I do think it's an interesting conversation, right? Does Breslow want to add, and does he have the ability to add? I don't know.
No.
I do think those are two very important things to kind of draw the line between because seemingly a year ago, Chaim Bloom wanted to add, and he was told no by John Henry. He said, not $1 more above $225.
Okay, because he knew he was firing Chaim Bloom. I can understand that. I'm not going to let this guy make any more decisions. I'm not going to give this guy 1 cent more. Is it different this year? And I don't quite have the answer to that.
It's not.
Okay, so do you feel that way or do you know that?
I feel like this year is an evaluation year for Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow to see what they have as an organization because it's new leadership. Cora won't be here next year. Let's see what Chaim Bloom left us, and we'll go on from there. So they could be in it. They're not buying. They're probably going to be, they could be out of it, and they'll sell off Jansen. They'll sell off Tyler O'Neill, and they'll bring back Liam Hendricks will jump in as the closer. They'll go out, and I'm just using this as a right-handed bat to replace Tyler O'Neill. They'll get Hunter Renfroe just to have a warm body at the major league level. Nothing they could do right now or in the next 2-3 weeks will make them decide we're just adding to this team because we're going to make a push to make the playoffs because I think that this team making the playoffs is important for them going forward. It's teaching the young players how to win. It's giving them a feel of that playoff atmosphere. And this leadership group of Sam Kennedy, Craig Breslow, they don't care. It's not their idea, and it's a problem.
I hope you're wrong.
I do too. I've never rooted against a take more than right now.
Let me just say this. Here's a little slimmer of hope for you, Stu. the buy and sell thing that you just proposed, which is absolutely straight out of the Chaim Bloom playbook. I mean, Bloom loved to do that, but Bloom was indecisive.
Well, he did it once. Let's be real. He did it one time. It was 2022. 2021, he bought. 2023, he stood still. He added Luis Arias, which, really didn't end up doing anything.
Had a grand slam, didn't he?
2 of them back to back.
But I think that was much more in Bloom's MO to say, I'm not going to pick a direction because I want to leave all my options open, because he was too terrified to do that. I don't know if that's who Craig Breslow is. In fact, his comments would suggest he's not that. Because while you can say that he has not exactly been full-throated in his support of this team and his belief of this team in his public comments, what he keeps coming back to every time, Milliken, is that he does want to pick a direction. Pick a lane, as they call it. And he's talked about how not picking a direction, how doing both the buy and sell thing can hurt teams. So I think Breslow is committed to picking a direction. I think he's just waiting to see what direction he's going to pick, which to me, I say, no need to wait. I already know this team is worth investing in. I already know that you have a surplus of prospects in the middle infield and in the outfield. You have a surplus of left-handed hitters coming. You're in the playoff race. You need to add. Breslow isn't there yet. The question is, will ownership let him be there, and should he be there? Stu feels that way. I feel that way. I think you feel that way too, Milliken.
No, I think it's more than fair. And I think you look at Rob Refsnyder had some very interesting comments after the sweep down in Miami, where he kind of pointed to Breslow being a little different in how he's operated with the team this year. He goes, hey, this is a guy that went and got Garrett Cooper and Dom Smith when we were kind of dying out there, when we needed help. Even Zach Short, when they were trying to get by in the middle infield, David Hamilton was having his identity crisis at shortstop. There have been moments where he's kind of stepped up and tried to patch things where we know, we had the Christian Arroyo and JBJ experience in right field. Travis Shaw out of retirement to come play first base when they wanted to platoon him with Bobby Delbeck because they found out, oh crap, Tristan Casas, probably going to be a little bit longer than we thought. But if you want some optimism, maybe something that can change the tune of the conversations we had the last couple of years. Jay Stu says a sweep against the Yankees won't point you in any direction. Right now, in this moment, the Red Sox have a 41.7% chance to make the playoffs per Fangraphs. I went back and I looked exactly on deadline day what the percentage chances were for the Red Sox. 2022, it was 24%.
Not good.
2023, it was 24.6%.
And we heard all about those percentages, the underdogs, right? The odds, you name it.
And we know Alex Cora has said, you know what? I don't really like those odds very much. Recently said that in an interview. So if you end up sweeping the Yankees here, you are going to start to get very close to that 45 to 50% mark. That is almost double the odds Chaim Bloom had those last couple years. And whether it was Chaim Bloom originally in 2022, not buying in, even though he stayed over the luxury tax, which makes it even more stupid in retrospect, or whether Chaim Bloom a year ago couldn't sell John Henry and company on that 24% chance, right? If you're up to 50% chance or up to a 50% chance, that is a kind of ground or space they haven't been in before. And you're going to have multiple weeks to build here. It's not just this week, because you go back a year ago, they went 15-8 in the month of July to give themselves that 24% chance. So if you can pull together 2 straight great months here and get near 50%, I do think that changes the equation. Am I telling you they are going to go nuts and go trade for Garrett Crochet? No, I'm not. But can you have a 2021-esque deadline where you don't trade any of your top prospects, where you maybe acquire a Schwarber and some relief help? It'd be different this year. You're looking for a starter and a right-handed bat, maybe some middle infield help. I do think there's a real chance of that there. It's up to them to string it together. And if the Red Sox do finish strong this month, they went 15-10, I believe, in the month of April.
A month of June, right?
No, 15-10 in the month of April, 15-11, I believe, in the month of June. So that's 2 out of those 3 months they've shown this kind of team. May was obviously very tough as they dealt with injuries and got pulled down. If they string it together in July, that's going to be 3 out of 4 months where your team is kind of proven we're better than a 500 team. We're above that. That feels like something they'd have to look at a little bit differently. You don't have to go crazy here. You have the farm system depth to make this kind of move, as you just noted. It doesn't take the world to give them a shot here, and just giving them a shot, maybe, just maybe, you find a way to win the girl back with Alex Cora. You give him a chance, because if the Dodgers, Phillies, or Yankees aren't looking for a manager, is there another spot that's better than Boston? You may be the last one standing, and I don't care what anyone tells me. Alex Cora doesn't want to wait a year for a job.
No.
We know he doesn't want to do this forever, so maybe he really clicks in with this young core and says, hey, we had our rough moments, but we're finally over the hump.
Yeah,
now.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think there's basically no chance Cora's back, but if there's going to be any chance, it's going to be because ownership in the front office commit to this team at the deadline. They go on a run, and he wants to stick around. But, the numbers you just gave me, Milliken, the odds, 41% right now, and, they're 15-11, and this 15-10. You can take your numbers and you can take your odds and you can shove them right up your floppy drive, all right? You're too young for that.
Don't talk about my floppy drive like that, please.
You're too young for that. Google it. You'll see what I mean about that. I just think this team has proven over the course of the last 3 weeks to a month that they have improved, that they're a young team, that they're capable of playing better baseball than they did at the beginning of the year because things just start together, come together for young teams. They can run, they apply pressure, which is a great way to overachieve in baseball in 2024. In some ways, are they a great, great team on paper? No, but they're kind of built to overachieve. If you can run and you're athletic, that's a good way to win more baseball games than you should in this day and age. The question is, how close does that get you to the Yankees? How close does that get you to, a playoff spot? As we sit here tonight, Milliken, they're tied for the third wild card spot, and they're only 5.5 games behind the Yankees, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but they've made up 8.5 games in the last 3 weeks on the Yankees. They're playing better baseball. The Yankees are not playing good baseball. You actually have some data that indicates that what the Yankees have done recently might not be a total aberration. Did the Yankees overachieve to start the year?
I believe so. And they were the first team to 50 wins. Keep in mind that was right before they ended up facing the Red Sox, right? But you talk about one of the main players that everyone was loving to shove in the Red Sox face, Alex Verdugo, right? First half Alex Verdugo, we all
sucks.
know. Oh, but first half Alex Verdugo, we know what he is. That's a guy that's always in the conversation for the All-Star team. Someone people want to be like, this is the Alex Verdugo we dreamed about. He's Nick Markakis, whatever it may be. Well, guess what? Alex Verdugo now for the 5th season in a row is seeing his OPS plus go down, and his OPS, he's now sitting at 703. That Alex Verdugo. And it is only July 5th, a guy who does not perform in the second half as we see again and again. Then you have Anthony Volpe, another guy that was getting comped to Gunnar Henderson and Bobby Witt Jr. How disrespectful can you be? We look at Anthony Volpe, who, yes, he was a 22-year-old rookie last year, 666 OPS. Well, this year, all that hype, that great first month, he's back down to a 687 OPS. And then it was their rotation getting a bunch of love, right? Oh, Marcus Stroman, what a signing. He got blown up yesterday, but the ERA is still under 4. His FIP's above 5. The regression is starting to happen, and he's causing problems already with the team, with what happened with Gleyber Torres. Yankee fans tried to paint that as this great moment that pulled the team together. Clearly, it didn't. This is the same thing we've seen the last couple years where the Yankees start hot, they get exposed in the middle of the year, they're going to try to load up in a big way at the deadline. It looks good for a week or two, then it comes back, crashing down to earth. And another guy, in Carlos Rodon, his ERA, people were like, oh, Rodon's back. We've been waiting for this. His FIP's over 4. It's 462. The ERA is now 4.5. So we're talking all these pieces, 2 of their rotation starters, 2 of their better position players outside of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge to start the year. They're coming back down to earth. And Luis Gil, who was seemingly running away with Rookie of the Year, is now seemingly hitting a wall. We know his innings total is going to be a major conversation down the stretch. So 3/5 of the Yankees rotation has real question marks right now. And I've yet to mention Garrett Cole, who won the Cy Young last year, who has come back this year and does not look like himself whatsoever. And say what you will, when you have an elbow scare like that, it always feels like you're one pitch away from something going wrong. They lose him. Oh my God! It feels like the Yankees with a bad series here, things can go downhill pretty quickly for them.
I'm not predicting any of that. The Yankees are still a better team than the Red Sox, but it's closer than we thought.
That's all I'm saying.
It's closer than we thought a month ago, and here we are, entering a big weekend series in the Bronx after 4th of July, leading into the All-Star break, leading into the trading deadline, and you're in it. This series means a lot. You got a hell of a baseball game with a really good pitching matchup coming your way tonight. Houck against Cortez. What more could you want?
It means a lot to you. It means a lot to Tyler. It means a lot to me and a lot of other fans out there. Breslow doesn't care. Sam Kennedy doesn't care because they're not going to add. That's what it's about. It's about a playoff push, and they don't care. Sam Kennedy, Craig Breslow do not care. The season and the success of it is not their idea. They don't care.
But why did they, when injuries happened to Tristan Casas, why didn't they just call Nico Cavadas up? Why did they go get Dom Smith? And why did they go get Garrett Cooper?
Because I feel like that they had to have a major league representative player. And I feel like there have been people in the Red Sox who have been after Dominic Smith for a while. So.
I will say the Dom Smith thing is true. That has been a connection going back, I believe, to 2020 COVID season. But I do think there was some push there, and it seemingly the players feel like there was a push to help them out. I'm not saying there's going to be a place where they go nuts here, but you're getting to the point. You're 8 games over 500 today. That's the most you've been all year. If you're 12, 13 games over 500 and you sell, there is going to be a crazy look. It does not matter. You don't have to buy substantially, but I do think it will force them to go get some solid pieces a la 2021, but they should do even more with $13 million until the first luxury tax.
I'll believe it when I see it.
More than fair.
And I won't see it.
That's a fair opinion, as Jimmy begs with Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow to do their jobs and improve this team.
No hotter feud in the business right now than me versus Sam Kennedy.
Get it, Jay Stu.
Yep, exactly. Sam Kennedy just eagerly awaiting Jimmy Stewart's phone call. Hey, you can dial us up at 617-779-0985. No Maz, we continue. It's the Baseball Roundtable. McCarthy, Milliken, a very fired up, and I don't blame him for it, Stu. He just wants them to win. Don't we all just want them to win? We continue next.
This is the
if anything.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be gone for longer.
I think that's a radio bit from 2005 with Mike Adams also.
You play the hits, Jimmy. That's exactly what you do. You play the hits. Can you tell Jimmy and I were just talking about old school radio stuff?
There was a bunch of old school radio talk today that I had no clue about, so I'm happy to learn.
Tyler Milliken, did you hear this, Stu? Has no idea basically who Ted Sarandis was in the retractable roof talk about Fenway Park. I mean, you want to talk about playing the hits.
That was one of his go-to shows, and I produced enough of his shows where it's like, caller, Tyler, we need a retractable roof. Fenway Park, it's a dump. It rains too much. There's snow on opening days.
Why would Pedro Martinez want to pitch here?
Down by the waterfront. I know the people who own the land. They're happy to build it for the right price. We need a new stadium, a beautiful new ballpark with a retractable roof.
Have you seen Safeco Field, caller? Have you seen that? You missed out on some good times, Tyler.
I was 7 years old, right? His last year was 05. Does that sound correct? I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Ballpark, yeah.
You looked like he was doing some research.
I tried. Hey, all the young people in the studio back there were also confused, so I wasn't alone.
I don't get what's going on in your brain.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I promise you.
A lot of stats.
Roman Anthony.
I will not stand here and deal with your morass of negativity.
That vocab word is way above anything I got, so I'm just going to nod my head.
Didn't get that at Brockton High, Milliken?
Definitely didn't.
617-779-0985. Here's something I want to understand that maybe you can help me understand, Milliken, with whatever's going on in your head up there. Dean in Shrewsbury on Jaron Duran. I think this will be good. Hi, Dean.
Hi. I think Jaron Duran is the second most exciting player in the MLB to Shohei Ohtani. Now, he went 1 for 6 last night, and he still made winning plays all over the place. He was caught in a rundown. He beats a rundown and gets from first to second and gets to even third, and I wasn't even surprised he beat the rundown. He throws somebody out to save the game in the 11th inning, and then he makes a play to get the go-ahead run on short field from third to the plate. So he's really electric, and I think he's the second most exciting player to Shohei Ohtani, and he better be in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I don't know if he's in the Shohei Ohtani category or second to him, but I'll grant you this, Dean. He is electric, and he has completely changed my opinion of the Red Sox this year and what they're capable of, because it's not just Duran, it's what Hamilton's giving them, and I don't, by the way, know if that's sustainable, but what Rafael is giving them. Milliken, it's the style of play. The style of play lends itself to overachieving in baseball in 2024 if you have athletic guys who can run that will mitigate the mistakes that a young ball club is making. And listen, they make a lot of mistakes. They have ugly nights, some ugly nights in the field. It happens. But I think we talked about it earlier today. That game they played last night is not a game that they would have won earlier this year. And to me, that's a sign of growth, and it's a sign as to why they should improve this team at the deadline, because they are getting better. They are absolutely getting better, and their style of play lends to playing competitive baseball, down the stretch, if you ask me.
Alex Cora asked for years. He begged. I don't know how many different times we heard him say, I want this athletic team. It was like he got a taste of 2018 when, he had the Mookie Betts of the world and Andrew Benintendi's, these athletic ball players that could kind of change a game on a dime, not only with the bat, but once they got on the base paths in these different ways. And now he has that. He has a team tied for first in the American League with stolen bases with the Tampa Bay Rays. I think it's 87 total. Jaron Duran's 20 plus. Adon Rafaela's racked up, in the teens. And then you have David Hamilton, who is somehow only a couple away from the league lead, which is crazy considering the time he's spent in the big leagues this year, prolonged benching on top of it, all those different things. But I think that game alone, and what stood out to me last night, was the different ways they were able to contribute, manufacturing runs, making a play in center field. Jaron Duran, a guy who
never would have guessed it.
Never, especially with the arm on top of it. Jaron Duran, if you're going to kind of list the tools out right now, what's the weakest part of Jaron Duran's game? He's an elite defender with the glove. There's no conversation about that.
Never saw that coming.
Nobody did. He was getting booed in center field while he was fighting with fans. People said, I'm good. I never have to watch this guy again. People had that inside the park homer against the Blue Jays forever, making fun of that meme all over the internet. But now he's elite in that sense. I have kind of looked at Jaron Duran, and he may not be Shohei Ohtani. That's going way too far. But if we're talking like the Bobby Witt Jr.'s, the Gunnar Hendersons, I think Jarren Duran is some form of Grady Sizemore or 2011 Jacoby Ellsbury. Because you go back to May 15th, that's when he introduced this big leg kick and everything changed. He started hitting homers at a ridiculous pace. 9 of his homers have come since then. His first 43 games of the year, he had 1. So Jarren Duran has the power. He leads the MLB in triples right now with 10. He's one off the league lead in doubles, or American League lead in doubles with 23, stealing 20 bags like I just mentioned. There is nothing he can't do. If Jarren Duran is going to start popping 20 homer seasons, stealing 30 to 40 bags a year, while being, roughly a 30% better than average bat with Gold Glove caliber defense, yeah, that's 2011 Ellsbury. And I put the comp out there. You want to look at what Ellsbury's numbers looked like at this point in the year compared to Duran? Duran's numbers are better.
You want these numbers? Jarren Duran is the first American League player before the All-Star break to record 100 hits, 10 triples, 10 home runs, 20 stolen bases. All-around player right now. I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't know if he's this good, but I know he's this good in this moment. And I know what that means for this team. And I know he should be an All-Star. I mean, it's taken me a while to come around to it because, again, to your point, I had the negative moments from Jarren Duran seared in my head. Even the positive moments, when he kind of flashed it, he was never able to really put it together. He has done that this year. He has done that, no doubt about it. He should be an All-Star. He should be starting the All-Star game. Here's the problem, Milliken. You didn't vote for him.
I did. Don't point at me. I've been tweeting this out every day.
Stu, you didn't vote for Jarren Duran.
I actually did. I went on MLB.com and I voted at least 5 times, maybe more.
Okay. Thank you, Jay Stu.
I'm actually the problem. I didn't.
Exposed.
The Red Sox actually should have 4 All-Stars this year.
I agree. Yeah, Duran, Wong, Houck, and Devers. Yep, I agree. They should have 4 All-Stars. And, whether they do or not, I mean, we can have a debate, and we can get mad about it the way we would have in 2005. But I think, doesn't that, again, go to show that they're better than we gave them credit for, and you should add at the deadline?
And if they don't trade Chris Sale, you'd have the All-Star game starter.
I'm not so sure the Chris Sale thing would have happened here.
I'm not either, by the way.
Yeah, but no, I mean, listen, that's a good sports talk radio take, right? They shouldn't have traded Chris Sale. Caller, they shouldn't have traded Chris Sale. But Jimmy, they shouldn't have traded Chris Sale.
If Chris Sale's in this rotation, do we see Tanner Houck start?
That's exactly.
He's probably the guy that got pushed out on the bubble. That's the reality of the situation.
Milliken, you're so spot on. They needed
You're
to
right,
move
Tyler.
on.
You're right.
For once.
But you're making my point.
But that's like, you had to wait. Maybe Whitlock's elbow doesn't pop. Who knows? A million things could have happened. But Tanner Houck was that guy on the outside, so that's where you kind of say, boom, and you get right-handed Chris Sale. I will stay with Stephen Kwan. Him getting in, starting. He's hitting .367 this year. Just became qualified, I believe, last night. Has dealt with some injuries himself this year. I just look at Jarren Duran, and you're looking at a more complete player with a higher WAR. He's top 10 in B WAR right now, so I like what Stephen Kwan's doing. Has he been a better bat than Jarren Duran? Yes, Jarren Duran is a complete ball player. He is a true 5-tool player. And I'll also add, the most underrated part of Jarren Duran, I think, what he's become off the field for a team that needed leadership. And I complained about Justin Turner more than anyone all offseason. And Justin Turner was labeled as the guy who put his arm around Jarren Duran when he badly needed it. Has Jarren Duran become the young leader and kind of the voice of this team?
That's kind of scary.
But he has become that guy, and so far has worked. And he shows it on the field by playing every damn day.
Yes.
First player to do that so far. I think Mo Vaughn did 99 games. 98 might have been the year.
My guy, Mo
Your
Vaughn.
guy. That's why I'm bringing him up. Jarren Duran, more likely than not, is going to pass that, and that's his challenge. That's the attitude he's bringing every night. Alex Cora's telling his kids, look at every player on this field. Yeah, there's a $300 million guy at third base. Not him. Watch Jarren Duran and how he carries himself. That electricity, that level of just aggression and everything, he is what the Red Sox have been lacking the couple years, and he was on the roster, and he wasn't that guy yet.
Spark plug. He's a spark plug, and to your point, Milliken, he's a tone setter. By playing every day, by playing hard every day, he does something to help them win every single night, whether it's making a play in the field, taking an extra base. It's more than just hustle. It's a combination
He
of
went
hustle
first
and
to
speed.
third on a ground ball yesterday.
Wasn't that awesome? Don't you like that?
No hesitation at all. First to third.
Electric. He's electric right now.
And I guess he's got a good B WAR. What's B WAR?
Baseball reference version of WAR.
It's not an F war. That would be
That's
Fangraphs.
Fangraphs.
F WAR is Felger and Maz 2-6.
We continue. Majority's got your headlines.
So
Baseball Hour Roundtable. It's a hostile takeover from McCarthy and Milliken.
We're
We got
here,
Stu.
baby.
We got Stu and you at 617-779-0985. Milliken has 6 names the Red Sox should target at the trading deadline. He named 6, and then I kept asking them to name them, and I think he added like 5 more. So we might be dealing with some Milliken math here. How many do we have, guys? Milliken?
All right. We are now up to, I think, 7 names I like, 10 overall, 3 I really don't like.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
It's, can you give me the 6 you really like?
Eric Fetty with the White Sox.
Who's that?
With the White Sox, he's a mid-rotation starter for them. Has had a really good year, mid-3 ERA, under control for another year at $7.5 million, making that this year as well. Came back from overseas this year and kind of reinvented himself and is just really solid. It's not blow-away stuff, but if you're looking for that Jake Peavy kind of acquisition we talk about with the White Sox all those years ago, he's with the White Sox as well. He could be that like number 4 starter for you and eat those innings that Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford probably aren't going to be able to give you.
Okay, so $7.5 million a year for Eric Fetty. He's 31 years old. He has a 3.13 ERA. This is the only time his ERA has been under 4 in his career. He pitched 2 full seasons in 21 and 22 because he was pitching in Korea in 2023. He had a 5.5 and a 5.8 ERA with the Nationals in 21 and 22. Strong out on this. This guy sucks.
Come on.
Next one.
We're
Milliken.
saying he sucks? He's had a really good year. He reinvented himself. And he can eat innings. I'm not telling you it's the end of the world, but you're the biggest thing in the world. But it's solid mid-rotation arm.
I believe it's Fed. F-E-D-D-E, Stu.
Spare
Fed.
me.
No, that's Fed. He has a career 5 ERA and went to Korea a year ago. I think I'm good.
And then he
Give me
came
somebody
back.
better.
All right. This is a guy who's had his ups and downs, but
And $7 million might be too much for the Red Sox
I
budget.
think it's definitely going to be too much.
if we're talking money, though, that's on the lower side of some of the names on this list, unfortunately.
Give me somebody exciting.
Jack Flaherty,
I'm excited.
I
who's
like
gone
it.
to the White Sox. He is a true rental. I know a lot of people kind of saw everything fall off after he went, to the Cardinals at the end and Baltimore last year at the trade deadline, and it didn't work. But the Tigers have a pitching lab going on. It's a 3.24 ERA in 15 starts, 3.05 FIP, striking out 11 per 9. And this was once a guy who was anchoring the Cardinals rotation when he was 22, 23 years old, but has dealt with a lot of injuries. But you're getting him as a true rental. The price shouldn't be crazy, but teams are going to be hounding him.
Here's why it won't happen, Tyler. Cora likes him. And we can't have anything that Cora likes on this team per Breslow and Sam Kennedy.
Boy, that feels informed.
I
Alex
can-
Cora
What?
likes Jack Flaherty.
I'll add some informed context. I do know that was a conversation had over the season, whether Jack Flaherty would be here.
Over
but
the season or the offseason?
Over the offseason. If I said season, excuse me. But over
You're
the
excused.
offseason, that was a real thing. It didn't get too far or anything like that, but there was contact.
What would that cost? He's a rental.
I don't think anything crazy. You're probably talking a top 10 prospect, but in the back half.
Okay.
But it's a rental. We know in this market today, rentals do not go for a crazy price, especially someone like him who's had his own injury.
All right.
Headline, Cora wanted Jack Flaherty.
Okay. Jack Flaherty would be a really nice fit for this team. Really nice fit. I'm going to give you the Red Sox top 10, according to Sox prospects. Milliken, yes or no, would you trade him for Jack Flaherty? Number 1, Roman Anthony,
Nope.
who I would, by the way, say is ahead of Marcelo Meyer. Number 2, Marcelo Meyer.
Nope.
Kyle Teal.
Nope.
Miguel Blaze.
Nope.
Kristen Campbell.
Nope.
Luis Perales.
Nope.
Hurt. Yolan Cespedes.
Definitely not.
Dick Fitz.
Let's have the conversation. I'm into that.
Are you now?
Yes, I would be very into Dick Fitz.
Brilliant.
A guy who
Big
is
promo Friday.
a guy who at AAA, he's had a fine season. It's a 4.26 ERA. Red Sox are seemingly high on him as his fastball velocity ticks up, but I don't think he's anything more than a back-end starter, maybe something like Josh Winkowski. David Sandlin at number 9 fits into that conversation. Zanatello, I would say no, just because he's a prospect I like because of his upside. But hey, you got to get a little uncomfortable. Chase Mydroth and Nick York at 11 and 12. You want to package a couple of those guys to go have fun? Maybe.
That's how I have fun, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I have fun. Matthew Lugo, who's had a big year at AA to get promoted to AAA. I'm into all that. It shouldn't kill you to get someone like Jack Flaherty.
Let the record show Tyler Milliken does not want to trade something called Nazan Zanatello for a starting pitcher who could help you make the playoffs this year. Keep that in mind.
Tyler, how many shortstops do you need? You have like 6 of them.
That is true, but some of the best athletes are always drafted at shortstop, and they end up moving to other positions.
He can't break himself from the Chaim Bloom thing. Milliken, you have 1 shortstop on the field.
Of course.
You can move 1 to second base and 1 to the outfield.
Well,
That's it.
Jarren Duran was a middle infielder when he got drafted. Look at him now. He's doing Gold Glove stuff in center field and left field. Give me the best athletes. If you can hit, especially, we'll figure out the position later.
All right, so we're in on
calm down.
Yeah, we're in on Jack Flaherty. You have three
And
more
we
guys.
found out the Milliken's into Dick Fitz.
We did
Extremely.
yes. It's Friday. What can you say? You've got four more guys on your list. Number 3,
Zach Eflin. And that might sound familiar to Red Sox fans.
the guy who picked the Rays over you.
Correct. He wanted to go home at that time. Now, the Rays are in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot. They just traded Aaron Savali, but they've been playing a lot better ball recently. They've kind of got themselves back into the conversation. But as we know, the Rays and money, it's always a problem. And this is where Zach Eflin stands out a little bit. He's making $11 million this year. It's $18 million next year. And they're not going to eat a lot of that money. But if the Red Sox want to say, hey, we're going to make a real investment and still stay under the luxury tax next year, which there is no excuse not to. They need to be over the luxury tax and competing for a World Series. He would be the first step, and you could kind of plug him into the middle rotation, in the middle of the rotation, and he fits a lot of the things Craig Breslow likes in a pitcher. You're buying on him when he's had a little bit of a down year. I'm into it. It comes with some of that control, and you could say, hey, that's something we checked off for the offseason. Let's ride.
So Zach Eflin, 30 years old, 9-year vet, 4.27 career ERA. He's at 4.19 this year. He's basically been exactly what he's been his whole career. He is a, back end of the rotation guy, but he eats innings. He's, the highest innings he's ever thrown is 177, but still, like, he's that type of model. He does have a year of control, as you mentioned. What does Zach Eflin cost you in a trade?
It's interesting.
Because it's term, right? You're paying for a year and a half of a guy.
And that's where I'd sit there. It's hard to exactly judge it because this is a guy who was 6th in Cy Young voting a year ago. That was how great of a season he had, but he's known for having this chronic knee issue that's kind of attacked him. That's why the innings numbers are lower throughout his career. It's hard to say exactly until we start to see the market kind of shape itself out, but it's not going to cost you someone, especially in the big 3. I think you're looking probably, prospect number 7 and down. They're probably going to look for a couple prospects they really like, package-wise, because they believe in their ability to identify talent.
Yeah, the Rays will want 2 to 3 guys. They're not going to take the top guy. That's not, their attitude is get as many cracks at it as you possibly can. So, listen, the Red Sox have depth in their farm system now because they've done nothing but hoard guys for the last 4 years. That's where I want to see. You want to trade 3 guys for Zach Eflin? Go for it. Do it.
And I'd say Zanatello, the guy I wasn't willing to trade for a rental, I would do it in a trade like this.
Okay, there we go. At least Milliken's coming off that perch. Who do we have next?
We have Luis Severino, another one of Pedro Martinez's disciples.
That scares the hell out of me. A Pedro disciple, I'm sorry. Pedro has fallen in love with a lot of guys who have not turned into anything.
Denilson Lamet. Come on, Denilson Lamet.
Yeah, Ruby De La Rosa.
Fair point. But yeah, this year, Luis Severino's had a nice bounce-back campaign with the Mets. Made 16 starts, 3.42 ERA, 3.98 FIP. Not striking out as many guys as he used to with 6.8 K per 9, 3.0 walk per 9. But we know what Craig Breslow loves. It's big stuff that you can kind of try to harness and get back on track. The Mets have made him a solid pitcher again, and he is a true rental. But bringing him in, do the Red Sox think they can unlock him a bit? I think that's a real shot.
So I think Severino, if you're talking about a rental, is really, really attractive because he's having a good year. There's good Severino and there's bad Severino, and this is good Severino this year. 3.42 ERA, he's 5-2. He's, as you said, a true rental. $13 million contracts. You're going to pay him about $6. That feels, if we're not counting on them spending a lot of money. I like this idea a lot. This might be my favorite guy you've mentioned so far. It's him and Flaherty, the 2 guys I really like.
If you want a negative on this end, well, a positive is he's done it in the AL East. We saw with the Yankees.
Right.
Inning-wise, last time he pitched more than 102 innings in a season was 2018. That was before he blew his elbow out. This year, he's up to 97 innings. Last year, he was at 89. So if we're talking someone who's going to eat these innings down the stretch, it's hard to depend on him to be that. But it's up there with the best of them.
True rental, again, we're probably talking about the back half of the top 10 of your farm system, right? So that's, Yolan Cespedes, Dick Fitz, David Sandlin, Nazem Zanatello, Nick York, that type of
Chase Mydroth, I think, is someone that the right organization might really value because of his ability to just not strike out and draw walks. I think Elmer Rodriguez Cruz at 16 in Sox prospects just came off pitcher of the month down at Salem. I think he's someone organizations are going to target because he's just started throwing 96, 98 after years of throwing lower 90s, and he has pretty good pitchability.
If you're trading a pitcher, if you're trading for a pitcher, almost certainly any smart organization is going to ask for a pitcher in return. And, that's something the Red Sox refused to do under Chaim Bloom. They almost never took pitching back. That's the problem they're going to run into in some of these trades, or if you're not willing to trade, and again, you can't trade Perales right now, probably not because he's hurt. If you're not willing to trade some of these guys, like, you're going to run out of pitchers real fast. The Red Sox, farm system is undeniably hitter heavy. So you better hope you have a guy or two who can match up and the team's interested in one of your pitchers farther down the list.
And some people may say, well, Tyler, you said earlier today they're not going to trade Pete Alonso. It's very different situations. The Mets have someone who recently came up in Christian Scott who's made a really good impression. They're getting Kodai Senga back. So I do think Severino's someone they'll look to move to get assets.
We're up against it. You have two more. Give them to me.
Chris Bassett, this is my dream. He is the perfect person to throw in this rotation. Now, when you look this up, McCarthy, you're going to look at the salary and say, well, all right, that was a fun conversation. But he was someone I wanted a couple years ago, a true middle-of-the-rotation anchor, doing it in the AL East.
Old guy, veteran type. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, 3.43 ERA in 18 innings. He threw 200 innings last year, 180 the year before. Finished 10th in Cy Young voting last year. And the price is no joke. And this is where I start to look at the Red Sox and say, well, maybe the Blue Jays eat some of this money just because they want to get the best prospect capital back with the current state of their farm system, but he's making $22 million this year. It feels nearly impossible, but I do love the fit. It's $22 million next year as well. But if they can find their way in the middle of the money in prospect capital, he's the arm I think that would transform your rotation.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy with a career 3.5 ERA. He's a smart veteran who eats a lot of innings. Like, this, winning teams employ guys like Chris Bassett.
He's the modern day John Lackey to me in a lot of ways, and we saw what John Lackey could do in 2013 for a playoff team. We'll finish up with another Blue Jays pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi, who I don't think is going to kill you. Another guy who's a rental, does tend to give up homers. I know that. And many people remember the Yusei Kikuchi that was getting rocked in Seattle for all those years.
He's been better.
Yeah, this year it's 18 starts. It's a 4.12 ERA. The FIP's even better at 3.60. Big lefty velocity, 9.4 K per nine. Like I said, he's going to give up the homers, but he's cut the walks down in a big way the last couple years. If you're looking for a lefty in this rotation that can eat some innings, 167 last year, he would be interesting, and he's shown he can do it in the AL East. It shouldn't kill you either since he is a rental. I think we're talking in the same of that, back 10 to maybe even 10 to 15, but I'd check in on him because we've seen him do it here.
Those are some good Milliken. I'm not joking. Those are some really good potential trade targets right there. Most of them rentals. Kikuchi's a lefty. They could use a lefty. Again, veteran guy. He's been much better since he ended up in Toronto compared to what you saw in Seattle. I don't know if he intrigues me as much as Bassett or Severino or Flaherty, but as a lefty, if you can get him on the cheap, he's probably going to only cost you about $5 million. Given that $12 million this year, so prorated. Feels like it could be a fit. The Red Sox would be a better team if they added him. Good list, Milliken.
Thank you, and I'll acknowledge Bassett. You add $11 million, you have like $2 million before the luxury tax. That feels unlikely, but if the Red Sox want to push this as far as they possibly can, that's some 2021 vibes.
We'll wrap up the baseball hour and get you ready for the night show with Sean Silver next. Stu, and we're not going a second beyond 7 because it's Friday night and Stu needs to go home. What do you make of this Yankee series? How big is this
It's a
series?
big one.
It's a big one. You going to feel differently on Monday if they drop 2 out of 3?
I think it kind of stalls you a little bit, not significantly, but I think if you bulldoze them right now, you're setting yourself up for a run up until the All-Star break that truly puts you, we're talking 10 games over 500. It no longer becomes, hey, are they going to fall back to 500? You get that far ahead, I think then you really start to cement the conversation in a lot of ways of starting to buy and that becoming a very real option. I think right now you're still right on that line. I think you have a bad series and you get closer and you got to start climbing that wall again. You show up and you find a way to sweep the series, and I think so much is on Tanner Houck tonight because of how much the bullpen worked yesterday. If you can somehow get a Tanner Houck ace performance, which you've got a majority of the year, you're setting yourself up for a real sweep opportunity. And yes, I'm saying this with Josh Winkowski versus Garrett Cole tomorrow. You know why? Because Rafael Devers will be in that lineup, and he'll remind Garrett Cole who his father is.
And Cole struggled.
And I think a Yankee sweep leads into the Oakland series, which could be another sweep. And then you take 2 of 3 going in the All-Star break. Now you're cooking. Now you've got something.
And this is a massive week for the Red Sox.
It's massive.
Because, it can go the other way, too, and we'll have a completely different discussion. This is one of the biggest 7 to 10-day stretches of the season for the Red Sox. 3 against the Yankees, off on Monday, Tuesday through Thursday against the A's at home, and then the Royals right before the All-Star break. Sneaky big one there. Sneaky big one. It's 7 o'clock. We got to let Stu go. Good work tonight, Milliken.
Thank
Stu,
you.
Thanks for everything. Kevin Majori's got your headlines. We'll talk to you Monday.